Hello, hello, hello. Hi. Welcome to the New Era podcast, New Era Paranormal podcast. Your host today is Irene Achelois. We do not have JD tonight. He had something unexpected come up. So we will be on our own. He's left me all by myself. We welcome the Witching Hours podcast stars, Frosty and medium Jenny Lee. They have their own podcast called The Witching Hours. I've known them for a while, and they have quite a following through, what is it, Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, but you mostly stream on Twitch, right?
Yes, live stream on Twitch and YouTube now, and then it's podcasts wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And their podcast features everything in the realms of the paranormal, the strange and the unusual. So I think it's going to be a pretty fun day today. Jenny is also a psychic medium, and she does her readings through tarot, channeling, past life regression. So is there anything else you want to add, or?
I pretty much do a lot of stuff, and it's all weird.
It's all weird. And as we all stick together. The weird sticks together.
Us weirdos have to stick together.
Yeah.
So let's get started. See what is it that you have? Oh my gosh, I'm all by myself now. I'm all tongue tied. When JD's here, I can't stop talking. So, how about you guys give us an idea of what made you get started in the realm of the weird?
Go for it, Frosty.
Well, for me, it started as a kid, and it started with TV programs, like In Search Of, which was like hosted by Leonard Nimoy, and watching Unsolved Mysteries, and then when I was about 18, like late teenager, I found Art Bell on Coast to Coast AM on AM radio. And then after that, things just kept going. I was always interested in the unexplained paranormal, but didn't have a lot of experiences myself. So I was always like very intrigued and like, could these things, be, what was going on with it? What was, could I have those kinds of experiences? How real were they? And so, I stayed interested in kind of that aspect of it for a long time.
That's awesome. And for those who are not as weird as we are, Leonard Nimoy is Spock from Star Trek.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Jenny.
Yeah, for me, it's a lifetime of weird stuff. Family was very open about the paranormal and supernatural. And just to give you guys an idea of where Frosty and I's weirdness connected was we started dating in high school, and one of the first times we hung out, I took him to a cemetery. So there you go.
The most romantic place there is.
I guess that's when he knew I was the right one for him. Weird chick is taking me to the cemetery. Yeah.
What were you going for? What was the purpose? Were you going to see something historical, something like what was believed to be haunted?
When I was about 12, my aunt, who lived in California and still does, but she had come to visit, and just, out of nowhere, she just tells me the story about this lady who's been taking Polaroid pictures at cemeteries and capturing ghosts and this is like in the early 90s. This is like way before any ghost show or whatever. And it just always intrigued me and stuck with me. And I always liked going to cemeteries. So it was like a little private cemetery in a neighborhood. And I just wanted to go there and like show them, there's a cemetery in our neighborhood. Like, so let's go check it out. And it was just to be there,
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
You mentioned she used Polaroids, and now we're back to using Polaroids again in the field.
Luckily, they didn't let them die.
They brought them back just for the paranormal.
Yes, probably.
Have you used anything like any Polaroids for investigations? Wait, I want to fit in here. Hold on. Wait. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna destroy the place because I just feel like I don't fit in.
Are they plugged? Are they even plugged in? Or are you just pretending?
I don't have it plugged in.
I knew it. Oh my goodness.
I feel like I need to have them on. I feel like the only way to be a professional podcaster is if I've got these headphones on.
Fancy headphones. Check.
And then I need the little mic to sit in front of me. That's the next.
Yes,
That's next on my list.
Yeah.
I'll save up.
Fancy mic. Yeah. And you
fancy
can
mic check.
you can wear your headphones and just pretend that they're on.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you have one, like, I don't know, you have
you
to
gotta
be
have an arm
professional if
too.
you can
Yeah,
do
it's
that,
like,
right? Like,
Ooh, the
then you just-
arm.
then you
You're not a
just know.
podcaster till you got the arm mic. No.
That's why you're the pros.
No, you can do it however. I'm also a photographer, and I always would tell my students, it's not what you have, it's how you use it. So I think that
Ooh.
applies. Yeah, that applies for podcasting too. You got to start somewhere.
That's awesome. That's really good. So as the photographer, what do you think about the Polaroid paranormal images that we get?
Polaroids are kind of finicky, and I think that it could very easily be something that is messed up within the emulsion of the Polaroid. So I think you would have to be careful and kind of know whether, did something rub up against it, scratch it? Was it not processed correctly? To be able to know for sure if what you see in the Polaroid is a ghost or, the cat stepped on it or something.
Yeah.
I it's kind of because so I think at this point in time, in the age that we live in now, I would probably rather see something come across on Polaroid than something that was taken digitally.
That's true.
Because there's no way to know anymore if something's been tampered with.
Mm-hmm.
And Photoshop and photo editing and film editing has become so easy
AI.
to do.
Yeah.
So easy to do, especially like if you're looking at UFO footage now. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. Like, 'cause I've seen tons of UFO footage that if I would have seen in 1990, I would have thought was completely real. And now people are like, no, we made this. Like, it's fake, but we're just showing you what we can do.
Yeah.
And it's so I think the benefit to Polaroid is that at least if you're seeing the actual Polaroid, there hasn't been
they didn't digitally manipulate.
Big of an opportunity to be digitally manipulated.
Yeah.
I also noticed too that it's kind of like if you catch really great evidence and you don't have it, say, like from multiple angles, like you have a Polaroid and you have a video and you have audio, like if you don't have multiple pieces of information to like coincide with what you caught, no matter how good it is, people are still going to think it's a fake.
Yeah.
Because like they're still going to scrutinize it and look at it, with a fine-tooth comb and still figure things out that you didn't manipulate it, but I mean it looks like it could be. Yeah. I've noticed that too, because there's we have the skeptics and we have the deniers, and they're always going to see it as a fake.
Oh yeah,
the deniers, right?
Yeah. Which could be another big thing. Earlier we were talking about like your network of people. And I feel like in the paranormal, that's important because it's like as other people that deal with the paranormal, you have more trust in them. So it's like, if you were to send me a picture of something that you came across on an investigation, or Jenny, was like, hey, guess what I caught here are other paranormal investigators that we've met would show me their evidence. I know that this person isn't out to like get a million, clicks or whatever, or they're not out, like they're trying to find. And so it's just difficult because if you don't have the personal experience of that person and know what they're out for, then that's another issue with all the digitally manipulated things.
And that's really important. And I mean, just like in any field, the ethics varies. Ethical behavior varies.
Yeah.
Somebody asked the question too, Oop, where did it go? Do you shake a Polaroid picture?
Yes.
That was a joke. No, absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Andre 3000 said that you shake it.
No.
You shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah.
As a photography major, that is a no. Not shake a Polaroid.
Well, as a paranormal investigator, we don't tend to bring the cats on investigations to step on the Polaroids either.
Never know.
Yeah.
Well, so you can. We bring dogs.
Cats are good
We bring
detectors
cats.
of spirits. I think they're kind of on a different level. So
I feel like cats, though, they would just kind of be like, I see it, but I'm not going to tell you.
yeah. Plus, they'd be knocking cameras over and
Yeah,
stuff.
the cameras over. You have your EMF detector. They jump up, knock it off the table.
No cats at the investigation, please.
Oh, okay, so speaking of pictures, I'm going to try and do this.
Okay, you got it.
My first time hosting. I'm going to try and put up a couple pictures that we can talk about. All right, I'm going to try. Does this work? Let's see. Hold on. So there are two images. I went back old school. One looks like it's an old photograph, so like 35 millimeter camera. It was taken back in 2000. I think it was 2010, but I could be wrong. You'll be able to tell us, Jenny, because it has the date and time stamp on it. So let's see. Here we go. Okay, so this one was posted on ABC News back in 2015, and it was an image of a group of friends just hanging out. I don't know for sure if this building was abandoned. By the looks of the story, it seems like it's abandoned, and I'll explain why later. So they're having a good time. They take this picture, and then somebody notices in the background there's a figure here. Mm-hmm. So if you zoom in, a lot of them believed it was a woman with a baby, holding a baby. So I guess a group of the guys. So I think the two guys here climbed up this scaffolding here. And looked inside to see if there was anybody possibly in the building or in that room, and they couldn't find anybody. So what are your thoughts on this image? It looks like it's one of those images that they weren't intending to catch anything.
Yeah.
But they caught something.
They're just taking a picture of themselves being goofy, sitting on one.
Yes. And forever immortalized this way.
Yeah. I know that one lady with the boots, and she's leaning back.
Could you imagine forever? Everybody's going to see this picture.
It's on ABC News for the rest of eternity.
How many of them are underage? You know?
Yeah, really.
And they're holding the beer up for mom. Like,
but this is in the UK. This is not the States.
Oh,
so
then that's okay.
Oh, so you don't have to worry about it. That's right. That's right.
I mean, it's a figure shape. It's not a fully formed figure if it is a real ghostly apparition. It kind of does look like a person holding something. Maybe that's the cat, Irene. There's your cat right there.
It's the cat holding the
cat. Or a really big taco. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but,
she looks real hungry.
I mean,
it's been forever since she's eaten.
Yeah,
so.
She needs a massive taco. I guess it would be better if there was a picture of that same scene with and without, so you know that it wasn't something in the window.
That's a good point.
That it wasn't just something pushed up against the wall.
Right.
But if they climbed in the window, and when they went in the window there wasn't anything in the way and there's nobody in there, then yeah, I mean, it's probably something. What do you think, Frosty?
There's definitely something in the window. And I think it's interesting because it kind of has like a see-through, it looks like it's something that's not quite all the way put together.
Yeah.
But as far as the object, it's hard to tell because of like periodolia. I'm trying to figure out what it is, but it's not obvious to me right off the bat. So like a woman holding a baby, like it could be, I don't necessarily see that, but I do see a figure, and it's interesting because it's not It doesn't look like fully materialized, so it's definitely intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially Adam, the historian ghost hunter, is saying hi. Hi, Adam. He has another podcast that we're friends with.
Oh, cool.
So if you look though too, it doesn't seem like it's that much of a distance away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if there was an actual person there, I feel like we would see them like Frosty said, in that same kind of, they would look more like the people that were in the image,
Yeah.
not so much of this like white shadowy.
It would be a little more detailed, I think.
I actually think it looks more detailed and that's because you're getting less pixels zoomed in. So like zoomed out. And it's also interesting because there's no color.
Yeah. And this,
You
and
know?
everything has not vibrant, but vibrant for that time, right? Vibrant color in it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Okay, I have another.
Okay.
This one was also from the UK. Apparently the UK gets a lot of photo bombing of spirits. So it was in the Daily Mirror, and they took this group picture of friends.
Yeah, that one's
actually
creepy.
this has recently been going around Facebook again, but actually she only took a picture with her 6 friends, yet there's 7 friends present in the photo. And the story goes that apparently a woman did die in that building, in one of the bathrooms, that they all in this building that they all live in, and well, not all of them, but they live in.
Yeah.
And this is a close up.
Good Lord. I mean, that one gave me goosebumps and chills. So I'm gonna listen to my body on this one, and say that's a for real. Psychically, my body says, good Lord, that's creepy. So yeah, I think the lady was like, hey, I'm gonna get in this picture too. They're having a fun time.
Yeah.
Not her fault that she looks crazy.
It's almost like she's like, hey, I want to be in it. I want to be in the shot.
Get this picture. Yeah.
Stop hogging the center of the shot.
Yeah, that one's scary. What do you think?
What's up with the face underneath the lady's armpit?
There's a face under the armpit? What are you talking about?
Hold on. Oh, we can't see it on here.
Yeah. That's a real person over there.
No, I think are you talking about over here?
The lady with the white shirt? Or
this one here?
You have the lady holding the can, and she's smiling like with a big grin, and like directly to her left and underneath the lady's arm.
That's a real person there.
Yeah,
I thought that was the.
Oh, you thought that was the face?
So that means this looked lifelike enough to you that you thought that was actually somebody in the picture. That's crazy.
Did you see the person up at the top back there?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Well, hold on. I see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Is there supposed to be 8 people?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's supposed to be 7 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then all the way in the back above the lady with the white shirt on is the head that's not supposed to be there.
Right here.
Okay. Yeah.
The other lady's just kind of tucked in behind the other woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's creepy looking. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where you come up with that problem again, though, of like, could it have been faked?
Well, this one was in 2020, so it's digital photography. So
could be.
If you look closely too, you can't quite tell, like, how does her hair line up against the sleeve? You know, is it perfectly, cropped and traced? I mean, it's hard, but I agree with Jenny. Like, I look at this and I'm kind of like, wow, you get the vibes, and it's hard to not think that it is real.
And like, it's not a matter of like me being like, oh no, that's completely faked or whatever. I just get to a point now where it's almost like, believe what you want to believe. Like, I'm not going to knock anybody who thinks it's real. I'm not saying it's just hard. It's really hard now to go. I mean, because it's compelling, it's compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if it's not a faked picture, I think that one's real.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it could be. I mean, it's gotten to a point whether it's either real or it's hoaxed.
Because that one wasn't the what is this? What is it that starts with a P when you think if you see stuff and it's not there?
Pareidolia.
Yeah.
Paranormal.
Patagonia? What? The first picture I think could have been that. The second picture is not. There's nothing in that curtain that would have
that's
made
a
it
woman.
look like that. That's a woman's
face.
face.
Yeah.
So it's either digitally manipulated or that's the real picture.
Yeah. So the question is,
real deal.
Did they snap a picture of 7 people and an 8th person popped up behind and they caught energy manifesting? Or were they like, this is going to be awesome. Hey, Kelly, go stand on the stepping stool behind us and try to look really creepy. And then they lined up the camera so that, like, you know what I mean? I mean,
why is it got to be Kelly?
Or it was just by chance. Why is it got to be Kelly?
You know, it's Kelly.
You
know, Kelly. Kelly would be the one who would
look creepy, right?
Yeah.
It could be that they noticed that the image looked creepy. So, like, and they said, hey, let's just say there were 7 of us there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And see what happens.
That's a possibility too.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, Irene, if you sent me that picture and you're like, hey, we were doing this investigation, I would, and I know you, and I'm like, they're not going to fake information. I'd be like, holy smokes, this is insane. But if you don't know the origin of it, you just don't know the origin of it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to say that was the real one.
What's your vote, Frosty?
I'll say it's real.
You don't want to get in trouble?
Let's go. I want to believe. I don't have the poster on the wall, but I want to believe. So I'll put that up. I'll have it there.
Wow.
Okay. So we've talked about paranormal images. What type of equipment? You've asked me this question on your show.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite type of equipment to use?
We suck at using equipment.
We don't use equipment.
It's hard when you're the equipment.
Yeah. I can never get a spirit box to work right. To me, it's just like irritating. EMF detectors are fun, but I don't know. I don't know. And then we have like we have a laser grid thing, and like, oh, that kind of sucks. And then EVPs I think are our favorite thing. Definitely.
I feel like with an EVP, there's not a whole lot of chicanery, like as much as some of the more modern equipment that's coming out. And if you get a good EVP, there's almost no denying it, because you're doing it, you're taking it yourself. You know what was in the room with you. If you have a quiet place, if you have a place that doesn't have noise pollution, and you play that back and you just get one of those, you know, top level A+ EVPs, it's like, holy smokes. Like to me, that's proof. To me, that's like real positive evidence. I'm trying to think what else we've used and had.
It's hard to get that.
We don't have a lot of equipment.
No, we don't.
We don't have a lot of equipment.
Yeah.
Because
when you're a medium, it's kind of when you're a medium, it's kind of like, I don't need to use the spirit box.
And you know, depending on where you are and like what's around you in terms of what can trigger EMFs, temperature, you know, lots of different things. Like you can get enough reliable information, but it's not as reliable as say like having the EVP or you know having EVP. You know like I think this is just bias, but if like a medium you know gets some information and then later information that isn't known by anyone and then later is validated, you know, that's also a big piece of information to help in the investigation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When you're a medium or you're working with a medium, I think the technical, you know, for evidence gathering stuff can be really awesome when it all comes together, you know.
Yeah.
When it validates, when they both validate each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thermal cameras.
I feel like cameras. Actually, I've gotten some good video on thermal. Full
Mhm.
body, nobody's there. You can't explain it. I accidentally, did I tell you about the ball? How I like having that one spiky ball. I set it down and it's like a goal of mine to have it move.
Yes, I think so.
So it did move. We all witnessed it, but we didn't have our cameras set up.
Mhm.
But just by chance, I was doing thermal on the walk in and I set up the thermal camera in front of the ball with us in the background.
Yeah.
And it caught it moving.
Oh, nice.
Problem is, though, it's slightly cut off, right? So here's the ball, and it's like so you can't prove that there's nobody to the one side doing something.
Yeah.
But we did catch it. We finally caught the ball move on video.
Yay.
But you know.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
there's somebody else over there.
3 of us saw it immediately.
Yeah. And there was no cat.
There was no cat.
Mhm.
Unless it was a ghost cat. Yeah. That's
Well,
Hey, people claim that there are ghostly cats roaming around.
Mhm.
So
why not?
I'm sure.
why not?
Why not?
Well, since we're on the topic of equipment, I have a question for y'all. So when we went to, like, when we were doing the Hanover Tavern Paracon, there's lots of like equipment. And I'm trying to remember that you have the spirit boxes, but then they have I'm not going to say that I don't trust that equipment. I just don't know enough about it. And to me, I found that it tends to, for me, I would say that would the spirit boxes are the equipment that I don't really care for. I feel like it can easily pollute an investigation with the sounds and I don't know enough about the science to know where where the sound is coming from, like what is true, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would probably have to learn more about the electronics of it all.
Well, there's the kind that uses the radio frequencies.
Yeah, that's
Well, that I get, but I'm talking about the one that just like shouts out the stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Are you talking about like the Staticom or?
Yeah, that's what it was that we saw.
Staticom, and then there's the other one that we used at Lake Shawnee too.
Oh, it's a spirit box, but it's like oh shoot.
It looks like a boom box.
Yeah, I forget what their particular one is called. We use one that's like a Phasma box. Yeah, and it uses like, I think it's like the Wi-Fi, things like that through the computer. I don't know all the technology with the Phasmacom and that type of equipment. I do know that like the Staticom uses white noise and then they filter through, so there's no
language already in it.
Yeah, there's
No,
nothing.
it's the same. So it's the same technology because I don't mind a spirit box like the regular spirit box where it's like cycling through the radio channels and you're listening to it on a headset, because I understand how that's working. So I guess if the other way is working supposedly the same way, it just seems like a lot of stuff comes out of there. It's almost like too much. Like there's just so much things that are being said. It's almost like the pareidolia again, like of like seeing a face. When you got a word coming at you every 15 seconds, I feel like it's really easy to start piecing those words together and making up a story that is based on randomness. So I'm not saying like I don't trust it.
Too. They use word banks. So they cycle through words that are already, collected in that bank. So it just depends on what you're using.
Yeah.
Like, white noise is really good because all you have is white noise.
Yeah.
You're not really getting anything coming in and polluting.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting and, and you're doing, say, a reading like that, it's helping you focus. You're channeling through the white noise, right? If you have the spirit box, I like it, the SB, the SB7 and, all the other ones, but it sweeps, but we had a really good experience with we put it on speaker and like doing a reading alongside it where we had, I saw the man who was the chef and all of those things. And the name came through the spirit box. I didn't get the name and a couple other things I can't remember. And then we were able to validate both pieces of information together. So spirit box does, does,
It can
you
be.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where me and you came down on it, Jenny, because we were like, it's really good as a way to like, if we're to back up the information you were
Mhm.
already getting,
But if
but
you're
not so much as sitting there
Yeah.
and listening to that for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Like the Staticom
Mhm.
thing was cool, but when we listened to it, we were in a room full of people, and
Yeah.
everything that came through, it's like each person could hear something different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it said elevator. No,
Yeah.
I heard, and it's just
Yeah.
like, holy smokes, we're going to sit here and argue about this for 30 minutes.
I can't
Yeah.
remember if it was in a TV show or I remember where I saw it, but somebody was talking like it was, one of those clips, dramatic clips, but he says,
Mhm.
everybody's going to say this. See, I'm going to put this one sentence on the board. And I had all these people say this one sentence over and over again in this crowd. And then they repeat that sentence over and over and over again. And the people hear that sentence. Then he
Mhm.
goes back and he goes, okay, I'm going to replay this. And now I'm going to put like this sentence, and change the sentence every time. So they start playing that, changing that sentence every time. And everybody could hear all the
Yeah.
different sentences with what they're reading on the
Mhm.
screen. So yeah, you have to be really
Mhm.
careful, how you interpret what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
So
yeah,
like I think all the equipment can be beneficial, and I think all the equipment I've seen has a case that it can be used in.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think some of them, I've seen some of them start to be relied on a little bit too much. That kind of, I don't know, can whip people up a little bit more. Uh, just the kind of way I think about that. Yeah.
yeah. And it's, I think we were talking about this in I think the last podcast. It's time for, new pieces of equipment to start coming forward. I'm
Yeah.
also seeing like there's just more mediums coming forward.
Mhm.
And that's or at least being noticed more because there's more platforms now, so using the medium in investigation isn't a bad thing.
Mhm.
It's it can be a good thing. And before, people didn't want to because it wasn't the technical part of things.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody come in and they can be validated, then that's, or if you bring multiple and they overlap in what they see, that's even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you can validate a medium's findings with devices, I think that is wonderful. I think that's awesome. That's really,
We do too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the paranormal side of things and paranormal investigation, and I was thinking that we can go into now I'm not an expert in this like cryptid side of things.
Mhm.
So
We're not either, but it's fun to talk about.
it's yeah. All right, so
Yeah, I just talk about stuff. So yeah.
He's
you
a
sound
Gemini, professional
sound
talker.
very convincing. Okay, obviously I'm going to start with the most obvious one.
Mhm.
Bigfoot.
I love Bigfoot. I want to see a Bigfoot. I feel like I've energetically experienced Bigfoot a couple of times, and I've psychically picked up on Bigfoot. So I feel like they're the real deal. I don't know what the hell's going on with them, whether they're just like an animal that we can't see because of whatever, or if they're multidimensional or they're ETs or what. I don't know what's going on with them, but I'm up for the Bigfoot. Frosty.
The jury's out. I mean, like,
Let me see if I can.
I mean, the way I look at, just like a lot of other things, like I really, there's been a lot of intriguing Bigfoot cases. There's also been a lot of hoaxes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think that Bigfoot is a definite possibility. And for the most part, I feel like when there's a lot of people seeing the same things and having shared experiences, that there's usually some kind of truth to it.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, a lot of these cases where people have produced like scat and fur and stuff like that, it's all come
It's
back as
always
like
something else.
it's always bears or coyote fur or so why can't we get the evidence? And I mean, once again, I'm not being the skeptic. It's just until we get that evidence, it's hard. But Bigfoot has taken on a whole nother life form because of its connection with UFOs. We had a guest on the Witching Hours, and we talked about Ron Moorhead had written a book called Quantum Bigfoot, and it really is like most people who are experiencing or had Bigfoot sightings or are hearing Bigfoot calls, they're also seeing UFOs and within the same kind of time, same areas, same time frames. And that's intriguing to me. Why are so many UFO cases connected with Bigfoot sightings?
There's a lot of hypnosis regression sessions with people who have had onboard experiences or abduction experiences, and many of them have a Bigfoot as part of the crew, or they're standing guard or something like that. So, yeah, what's up with the Bigfoot?
Are they extra dimensional?
Intriguing minds want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. But there's a lot of experiences, and actually, when we had Ron on the show, he has audio of the Bigfoot talking to each other, and this is from the 1970s.
Yeah.
And it's
incredible.
I don't know if a person could make the sounds better, So,
but it sounds like language. It sounds like two beings having a conversation, and it's like a female and a male, and just like humans, the female is really mad at the male, and the male's trying to like, ooh, yeah. So we must not be that different.
Yeah.
Oh man. I kind of go back and forth. It's a newer world for me, but and then there's things where people say when you have group experiences, oh, it's probably a shared psychosis or hallucination, and
everybody's taking acid.
Yeah. So, you've got to go back and forth and, weed out what you think is the real stuff and what you think isn't. And I think you both kind of talked about it,
But like, I do want to say, though, when you have those shared experiences, I like to give legitimacy to that, because I don't think that most people are out to hoax. I think most people who are sharing experiences are sharing what they perceive to be their true experiences. And I think that for too long, we have discredited people and their sightings. And this, especially in the UFO world, where people anyone who was a UFO experiencer was, a drunken hillbilly who had drank too much moonshine. But when the truth starts coming out, as it has been, you start finding out that no, it's police officers and military personnel, and I mean, it's everyday people through all walks of life that are seeing these things, and I don't think that they should be discredited. Because then you get the opposite. Then you get real information that's being buried.
Yeah, that's true. And even was it Gimlin? I think Patterson died first, then Gimlin for the Bigfoot video. But he even talked about, I guess, in the past, how him and his wife, he regretted releasing the video because they were constantly, being, made fun of and bullied. Like they would go to his wife's work. She was a bank teller, and say things to her, and pull in their driveway and do things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really hard to get enough people to come together and say something is real when everybody's afraid. It's just like in anything, and well, like nobody. I think a lot of people are a lot more relaxed talking about UFOs now since the government decided to release files showing and video showing footage of unidentified phenomena being captured. What do you think about that? Do you think things have changed since then?
We're good. This is a really
open this can of worms.
It's hard to know what to think. I know that there has been information put out by the U.S. government that they don't want to quiet anybody, that everyone should feel free to be able to share the sightings or have, and to make those reports and all those things. But then just a couple months ago, after all this came out, there was information coming out that people were still being told to shut up. And this whole last couple of years in the UFO world, to me, has been very interesting, and something stinks. I'm not quite sure what it is. I mean, we can go really far down the rabbit hole here, but you start bringing 3-letter organizations into the information that's coming out, and then a lot of the people who are disseminating the information are intelligence and former CIA. It's more of the same in a lot of ways because disinformation has been spread by the U.S. government for a long time in the UFO world. So my question that I have with the UFOs now is, I think there has been some information. I think that the government acknowledging the Tic Tacs and acknowledging the things that people are seeing is great. But now I wonder, what other information are we getting that isn't true? That's
We always
possibly
have
leading
this
people astray.
conversation
Yeah.
in our community that
Yeah.
by them putting this out, it's so that we look at it because there's something else going on over here they don't want us to see, you know?
It's entirely possible.
Yeah. So, yeah, who knows?
I mean, and it's something you have to be, because like you have to understand that we know that there has been CIA operatives who have been sent into the UFO communities before to spread disinformation.
Yeah.
This has been proven with declassified documents. And to me, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Because if it's been proven, if we know, if it's been declassified that the CIA or the U.S. government put people into the UFO world, going to give talks and publishing books about UFOs, and their intent was to spread disinformation for the U.S. government, then just by that, the implication is that the U.S. government cares about UFOs. Where everything publicly the government has said about UFOs has been that, oh, it's just a bunch of hillbillies that, that, like we said before, had too much moonshine or whatever. It's not even serious. There's no way we would ever even look at it. Well, if it's not serious and no one should look at it, and there's absolutely nothing there, and it's just people with active imaginations having a story to tell on Saturday night, then why are you recruiting people to go out and enter the world and spread disinformation?
Yeah. It's like, if y'all really didn't want us to look at it because it's really nothing, then you wouldn't have done anything at all. So all this stuff you do just makes it seem like it's really something to it,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a mess.
Something's going on. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Well, speaking about multiple witnesses, okay, let's go from that to Mothman.
I don't know how I feel about Mothman. I haven't had
big
like, I think Mothman is really cool, and I love the story, the West Virginia story. Like, that story is incredible. But I don't know how I feel about Mothman. I don't know. Something about it tells me that it's not what people think it is. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's interesting to talk to both of you about. So, like, people saw something. I actually think that the more I've read about Mothman, the more I realize that maybe it was misnamed.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of cases, it almost seems to be more of like a dog man with wings than what you would think about as like a moth.
Yeah.
But like, how easily do you guys think that it could be that it's like not necessarily the Mothman, but or like these cryptids could be some kind of like extra dimensional being or something from like another, I don't know, something from the other sides that you guys deal with?
I mean, I think that's very possible.
I can't say I haven't seen different things that aren't, just your normal everyday person.
Yeah. I see all kinds of weird stuff all the time, so it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't something from the other side, you know?
I think one of the craziest things about the Mothman, like you said, the West Virginia case is intriguing, but the one that in Chicago is even more so. And that was not that long ago, where you have like pilots calling into air traffic control, like seeing it. So I don't, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I mean, it's hard, were they able to, I don't remember, were they able to get it on camera? Anything on camera? Any kind of object when they saw it?
I don't know. I don't think so. But
I don't remember
they do
seeing
have the
anything.
recordings. They have the air
Yeah.
traffic controller recordings and from the pilots talking to them and stuff. And then there's people like in the parking lots at the airports that saw something like flying by them. And there were a lot of sightings in Chicago. West Virginia case is interesting because there were sightings in West Virginia, but most of the sightings don't occur until after it hits the newspapers. And then you get a whole lot more sightings after it's in the papers.
Yeah.
But I mean, that can go both ways. That
Mhm.
can be people,
Or people looking.
that can be people that didn't want to talk about it.
Became
Or
braver. Yeah.
Or that can be people that are just making up stories so they can be in the newspaper.
And then more people,
Or
the
fear.
more people look.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you're afraid and something happens, your mind can think you see the Mothman, but you're really, it was just some, big tall guy coming out from the side of a building or something like that. But you're already running away and you think it's Mothman,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, something about Mothman tells me that it's not what people think it is. That's the only thing I've really ever picked up about Mothman.
I kind of feel that way about cryptids in general. Like, I definitely think there can be animals that haven't been discovered that could be cryptids for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility. But, the more work you do, Jenny, and the more stuff we get into about other dimensions and creatures on the other sides, like we've had experiences with elementals and stuff like that. Like, could some of these things be kind of crossing the curtain or veil a little bit, and that's when people are seeing what we call some as cryptids. I don't know.
And that wouldn't be a cryptid, because to me a cryptid is, I don't know what the definition of a cryptid is, but to me a cryptid is like an animal that doesn't make sense, is usually what a cryptid kind of means to me.
Yeah. But if you were in the Rocky Mountains walking through the woods at night and you saw some creature that looked kind of like a dog, even if it was even if it was over from the other side, if that person wasn't a medium, they're gonna think it's a cryptid.
It's a dog man. Yeah.
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 Well, very cool. All right, let's see. Jenny, you do you like to do past life regression stuff, right?
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on past lives?
I feel like two things happen with past life regression specifically. One, I think that when you're delving into past life stuff, you really are going into your own past lives. But I also think, and it might be hard to decipher what's what, and maybe it doesn't matter, but I think sometimes when we're diving into past lives, that spirit is showing us a life, even if it wasn't ours, so that we can understand a specific thing. And in order for you to know the difference, I think you just have to know it. Like you yourself, the person getting the reading or the person having the experience, you have to figure that out for yourself. Whether this was really a person that I was, or this was just something I needed to hear right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, especially because I've heard stories where people, of course, I'm a little biased and, believing in a lot of different things because of the whole medium side thing. But I've heard some people will have like the same past life. Oh, I was just to name something. I was Cleopatra in my past life.
Oh yeah, a lot of people want to claim famous
people. Yeah. So it makes
well,
sense.
There is an idea that that's a possibility, that different people would have a chance to live different lives, because there is no such thing as time. So why couldn't you try out different lives. But I don't know, that gets really convoluted and confusing. And even if that's true, I don't know if our brains could understand it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a red flag for me. Not everybody can be Charlemagne or,
Yeah.
and, it'd be curious to take a poll, like how many people, were Queen Elizabeth in a past life. And if there's, to me, if there's, 100 and something people that claim to have been, there's a problem there for me. But in terms of past life, I don't deny past lives at all because I've had my own experiences. And of course, in the world paranormal, your firsthand experiences are that's to me, that's what it's about. Anybody that is into the paranormal and is a believer in something typically had their personal experience. So,
yeah.
I
How about
agree.
you?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't eliminate any possibility anymore. I can't, I do have an issue though with there's a situation where the want to be something greater than you are, that kind of thing where people can be easily swayed or into thinking that they were something more, whether it's by the like, again, this is kind of like the people that are on the fringes, the ones that aren't ethical or legitimate.
Yeah.
And so they could be swayed into thinking, that they were all of these famous people in their past lives. And then, but then I can't say for sure, like you were saying, they could have popped in and out of those experiences, or they just see that past life based on what they're supposed to learn through that regression. So I can't say one way or another, in 10 years or 1 year, I may have a completely different thought, right?
Yeah. We're always
I probably
experiencing
had a different thought the last time we talked about this, but like I can't, I do believe that it's possible. Before deciding, like to kind of come forward and be out in the world, and before I let myself be, totally, what I am, I would have probably said absolutely not. It's not a possibility. But I mean, we've seen these, children that remember World War II. How is that, how is that even possible? If they weren't, they supposedly they weren't told the stories, they weren't, and they recognize family members that were from their past life, not from their present life.
And they know specific details of things they could have never have known.
Yeah.
And all of that gets validated. Yeah.
And we have that being studied right not too far down the road from us over at the University of Virginia, where they have a whole research department in parapsychology.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, science being done on it, and people who believe it from that standpoint.
So you've never had your own experience, your personal experience for past life stuff yet?
I've had a couple experiences, yeah. So it's hard for me to deny it because I've experienced it, and it makes sense when you think about like what you're working through, traumas that are like within you in that genetic sense. Also, are you picking up just that trauma from your bloodline and their experiences, because we've proven genetically that you do carry the trauma.
Yeah, we were just talking about how much more DNA affects us than we really realize.
Oh yeah, in a lot of ways. It's crazy. It's not just, you have brown hair, it goes a lot more, it goes a lot deeper than that. And the way we're able to manipulate things now, I mean, it and everything's interconnected. It's crazy what we can do.
Did I ever, I probably have tell you my experience with the past life, like the first past life regression that I did?
No,
we might have talked about it at some point, but
I don't remember.
To try to keep it quick, like we did it as a group. It was like a group, kind of like a hypnosis thing that we were going to do. But it was, I had never done anything like this before. This is several years ago now. And as we're going, and it's like, oh, you're going to go to the Akashic Records and you're going to go up into this building. And then like, I guess I get kind of impatient whenever we do meditations or anything like that. I'm always kind of like doing my own thing. Like I'm not very good at following the directions. So I go into this building, I see this building, and I see this like circular stone stairwell. And I'm like, just like running up the stairwell, and I get up, and then as I'm realizing as I'm doing this, as I'm seeing this in my mind, I hear the woman who's leading the hypnosis session or whatever goes, and you'll see a door and you'll see a stairwell. And I'm like, yep, already been there, already done that. And then I'm like standing in front of this huge, like wooden, like door that you would imagine from like the Middle Ages or something. And she was like, like a minute's already passed my mind. I'm like staring at this door, and she's like, and now you'll see a door. And I'm like, yep, like I already see the door. And like I open up the door and I go through, and when I go through, my grandfather was there, and my grandfather was sitting down at like this bench, and I run over and I started having like a conversation with my grandfather, like once again, like in my mind. And then as I'm having this conversation with my grandfather, I hear her say, there'll be somebody there waiting for you. And it could be, it could be a spirit guide. It could be, and I'm like, I've already started having a conversation. So for me, that was something where I was like, well, I don't think that I can deny this anymore, because I was seeing the things that she said that I would see before she said it.
Yeah.
That's not possible.
Yeah.
Look at you, A++ for regressing.
Mm-hmm. And when I went in, and I also want to say, when I went into it, I was pretty highly skeptical.
I mean, that was like 11 years ago. Like we were not doing this kind of stuff yet. No.
Oh.
And I thought to myself, I was afraid. I was afraid that everyone was going to do all this cool stuff, and like I wasn't. I didn't have any gifts with that. I wasn't a medium like Jenny was, and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here and try to keep myself busy for an hour while everyone's doing all this stuff. Like, am I going to make something up? Like, am I going to have to be like, oh, I saw some flashing colors or something, But there it went. And I never even had to worry about it. It was just off we go.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I love it when people who don't expect to have experiences have the experience.
Yeah.
So that's the best part.
Did you ever have that happen when you were working with people in medium classes, where the person was like, I don't think I can do this, and then they like nailed it? Yeah. I always love when that happens. Yeah.
And they're sweating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does it when it, it's because when you let go and it's not you. It's not you anymore. You just have to trust. And that's probably the most difficult thing all of us
absolutely
do. Yeah. So even though you weren't expecting to do anything, somehow you were open enough to still trust in that you can maybe have an experience. And that allowed you to have a beautiful experience. So that's awesome. All right. The witching hours. What are any upcoming projects? Anything upcoming?
Yeah, we have our calendar full. We have a live show every Thursday night at 8:00, and you can find it on YouTube or over on Twitch. This week, we are going to have Martin Rivera on. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about QHHT,
quantum healing hypnosis technique. I'm so excited. Yeah,
that
he's really
very
cool.
Interesting.
That's past lives and higher self.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. What's else is coming up on our lineup there?
We're going to have Dr. Mona Sabani on, who's a neuroscientist. And she has written a book about basically through being a brain scientist that she thinks that there's a connection between the science she does in the afterlife. She wrote a book about it. So we're going to talk about that, which I think is interesting. I think whenever you find people who are kind of scientific minded, or even like me being a historian, I kind of need facts to prove things, but still finding this connection to the paranormal on the other side.
That's Irene too. Irene's a scientist.
Yeah, 100%. And then the week after that, we have Ali Cardinale on, and we're going to talk about witch doctors.
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah. Ooh, that'll be fun. Definitely.
Yeah. So we got a lot of good guests coming up.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I going to? Oh, you were saying something. What did you say in this last one? About how healing modalities.
Oh yeah.
So have you done any type of work in the healing modalities, Jenny, or it's straight mediumship?
I read a book about Reiki and I wanted to do it, and then I decided it wasn't for me. And I've kind of shopped around for other things that I think might be for me, and I just really haven't found anything. But I have done healing before,
Mhm.
but not it doesn't fit into anybody's category.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because everybody believes like if you're a medium, you're doing all kinds of different things, related to it, intuition, whether
Yeah.
it's, energy healing or things like that. So it's interesting to see everybody's different experience. And yeah, nobody does it the same. Everybody has their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, it looks like it's that time.
Now we're letting off fast.
I hate to end our enjoyment and our fun and my stutter for being nervous for hosting for the first time
You did great.
and messing up
Did great.
things. But hey,
You didn't mess anything up.
I really appreciated having you both on. Yeah, I love you guys, and
We
your
love
podcast is
you.
great.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we're gonna have
It's fun.
you. We want to have you and Danica back on at some point too. So
We'll be there definitely. And I want to thank everybody who joined us, all the people that were watching live and commenting. Thank you very much. It means a lot to us. We hope to see you very soon on the next podcast next week, and tune into the Witching Hours on Thursday. And have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.